going on, everybody? Sean Daniel with Guitar Control here. Today we're going to do a little acoustic blues song that is also doubling as an exercise where you can kind of learn different chord voicings all over the neck and then combine them with some cool blues licks, because I really am a big fan of combining chords and scales and licks into one fluid piece of music. I think that's the best thing for your musicianship, your timing, the coordination between your fretting and strumming or picking hands. And it's just kind of like a fun thing that you can do by yourself that you can also easily incorporate into playing with another musician. So make sure that you click the link below, because I'm going to tab out everything we're doing here. And basically the whole thing is going to sound like this. So, really conceptually very easy exercise where we're just taking the 1, the 4, and the 5 in a key, but maybe playing them in a different way that a lot of people haven't really experimented with on acoustic guitar, okay? So now, essentially the sound of the blues is the sound of dominant 7 chords being put in a particular order that is very familiar to your ear, okay? So this is going to be something in G. So kind of like a blues in the key of G. Now, when I say the 1, 4, 5, what that means is the 1st, 4th, and 5th notes of the G major scale. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G again. G, C, and D are going to be the 3 main chords that we're going to turn into dominant 7 chords to kind of make a blues kind of jam thing going on, right? So a lot of times, you know, you might see like a G dominant 7 or whatever dominant, like an A dominant 7, a B dominant 7, be like, God, these are kind of hard chords to play as like bar chords. Well, there's a very easy way that you can do this where we just take the essence of what makes a dominant 7 chord, and that's a root note, a major 3rd, and a flat 7. And kind of use this shape as our new home base for a shape for really any kind of chord blues song playing, right? So instead of playing like a bar chord G7 or an open G7, the disadvantages of bar chord are it can be kind of hard to play, especially on acoustic guitars, to really hold all 6 strings down if you're just starting or intermediate. It can be difficult, also depending on the action of your guitar, the string gauge you use. All that stuff comes into play, and bar chords, no matter how long you've been playing, can be kind of difficult after, you know, playing for a while. So the thing about an open chord is it's really easy to play, sounds great, but you can't move it, right? So the great thing about this chord voicing right here, my middle finger is on the 3rd fret of the low E string, my pointer finger is on the 2nd fret of the A string, and my ring finger is on the 3rd fret of the D string. This is giving us essentially the essence of a 7 chord, a dominant 7 chord. So as an example, here's a full bar chord G7. And here's this kind of shell voicing, if you want to look at it like that way. Has the same kind of sound, just a little bit different. Not as many strings, easier to play, right? So now, instead of kind of moving bar chords around or having to think, where's the 1, where's the 4, where's the 5, let's just take intervals, the space between 2 notes, and just move this shape from here to here to here. So this is a G dominant 7, 3rd fret of the E string. I can move this to the 8th fret. There's our 4 chord, the C chord, same shape. Now I'm rooted on the 8th fret of the E string, 7A, 8D, and then 2 frets higher from there, the 10th fret. You can play a whole blues just by this one shape. And it sounds fine, right? So this is just kind of one way that you can start switching out chords that might be a little more difficult to something that is super, super easy, right? But the whole point of this lesson is to really combine stuff that maybe we haven't combined before. So I want to make a connection between this chord and then this lick. Alright, now what I'm doing here, I'm playing the same notes in the chord, but in like a lick pattern, okay? So this right here, what I'm doing is I'm sliding to the 4th fret of the G string, skipping to the 3rd fret of the high E string, then going to the 6th fret of the B string, the 5th fret of the B string, the 3rd fret of the B string, and then ending right where we started on the 4th fret of the G string. So this is going to be kind of our lick right here. Or with your pinky. You know, it can be like kind of tricky skipping that string at first, but it's really not that difficult to go from this chord into. Okay, so it's challenging for sure if you've never done this kind of thing before, but it's cool because you get out of a chord shape directly into a lick that is in the same area of the guitar, right? I think that's a really important distinction to make, to start seeing certain areas and all the possibilities of what you can do like within this one kind of space, right? Now what we're doing here is, if we talk about the scale degrees of the notes that are in a chord, which is something that you don't even have to conceptually understand, you just have to trust me on this. So all the notes in a G7 chord, which happen to be a G, a B, a D, and an F, are represented in this lick. In fact, right here I'm sliding into this note, the 4th fret of the G string is a B note, to a G, the root note. This guy right here, which is an F, this is the dominant 7 part of it. And then this note is also in the scale, walking us F, E, D, the 5th of the chord. So these notes make up all the notes in a G7 chord, but we're doing it in kind of like a blues solo lick way, right? And this is going to work over any dominant 7 chord. My tell right here is we rooted this shape on the 3rd fret of the low E string. So the 3rd fret of the high E string is also going to be very important, pivotal thing, because I'm sliding into the 4th fret, and then, but my mind has been thinking this 3rd fret the whole time, even though I'm playing the 4th fret first. There's my root note, and then back into that blues lick, right? So now we can take everything that we've just learned from here, play it on the right fret, and then we're going to move the whole thing to the C, the 4 chord. Now my root note is here on the 8th fret, so I know that I have to do that same lick and end up here on the high E string. So I'm just going to slide 1 fret higher where my root note is. So I'm going to slide into the 9th fret of the G string, then the same thing. I have my 3rd, my root, my dominant 7, connect the dots to the 5th, and then end where I started. So 9G, 8E, 11, 12, 8 on the B string, and then end up on the 9th fret of the G string, right? So there's my C chord into the lick. And then the exact same thing is going to happen on the D string, or the D chord, I mean. So the D chord, 10th fret of the low E string, there's our D7, D dominant 7, same chord as maybe an open version D7 you've seen before, but we're keeping it in the same shape, and then I'm going to do the same thing by diagnosing that this is my root note, and then the 10th fret of the high E string is kind of my target. So 1 higher than 10 is 11, 11G to 10, E, then to the B string, 13, 12, 10, 11G. Okay, so I've connected one shape and one lick together to just make really something in G. This is a blues in G. So I just have that G chord, the 1 chord, into the lick. Maybe I can play it twice in a row. Maybe I can even kind of do something different. Really, as long as I slide, I can do anything. That's the cool thing about the blues. There really aren't rules. There's a structure by which you can kind of do whatever you want. So again, what I did there was, like, the first time, I did the main lick. And then the second time, I'm just doing something different. Whatever. It almost doesn't matter what notes are in the scale, as long as you've kind of set up the expectation that you know a little bit of what's going on, right? Then maybe the second time around, just do whatever. Or just kind of experiment by maybe playing these notes in a different order. You could go like... Again, I avoided the root note. I just played any of these notes that make up that dominant 7 chord. That's why it's great to kind of learn licks and then see a chord within those, right? So again, first time, it's the main lick. Second time, I just get creative. Then to the 4 chord, the C. back to the 1 chord, the 5 chord, the 4 chord, the 1 chord. So it's really kind of conceptually very easy, plus you're going all over the fretboard. I mean, look at what you're doing. You're starting here, you're playing up on the high string, you're moving it all the way down here. You can eventually start incorporating different scales and stuff, which we have tons of videos on scales, pentatonic licks. All this stuff is a plug and play, mix and match. It's just getting the structure of the blues together and then using it to your advantage and impressing your friends and all of those around you. So make sure you click that link below because, again, grab the tab just to help you visualize what you have going on, and then just really rock it however you see fit. Make sure to click on other videos on the Guitar Control channel here by myself, other great instructors, and let us know what you guys would like to see more of, and we'll have it for you soon. Thanks a lot.